How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Infinite Sports. I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, along with my co host, Ben Upson, back together again to talk about a handful of topics today between basketball, football, and baseball. So, we're going to start off with NBA. We're going to talk about, what's going on in the offseason, talk about the Knicks as well as they finally hired their next head coach in Mike Brown. We'll talk a little bit about the NBA finals as well, give our overall thoughts on them just because we haven't really, discussed that either. We'll get into some NFL as well. We'll talk about the moves that the Steelers made. They acquired Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. They traded away Minka Fitzpatrick, going back to the Dolphins, the team that drafted him. We'll also get into talking about Major League Baseball as the first half has concluded. The Home Run Derby was last night, so maybe we'll give some thoughts on that. The All-Star game is tonight. And that'll pretty much be it. But Ben, how's it going? I know again it's been a while since we've done a show together. What's been going on in the world of Ben Upson?
It's been great. We're in the peak of summer, and the weather is hot on this side of the United States this year for sure. A lot
I
of
agree
lot
with
of
that.
days at the pool, a
Hmm.
lot of days at the pool, a lot of cool beverages. Let's just say that, and it's been great. I know we've been off for a while, but can you believe, Kenny, that as we do our midsummer type show here, that we're only like 6 weeks from football that being back.
I know. It's unbelievable because I go away next week and then all of a sudden it's August and then the Hall of Fame game starts, preseason, fantasy stuff, spread pool, all that comes back,
Oh
and
yeah.
then we're off and rolling. So yeah, can't wait for that. Can't wait to lose all those games in the spreads. But anyways, well, before we get into the football talk, let's get into some basketball. So a lot of basketball stuff. So I guess before we get into off-season stuff, because it's been a while, the Thunder won the NBA Finals. They won their first NBA championship. It was a very good finals. And I felt like there was some disrespect going towards the Pacers just because of how well rounded the Thunder are. But I really thought that the Pacers could keep up with the Thunder and at least make it a competitive series. It was more than just that. I mean, the series went to 7 games. I had it at least going to 6, but the Pacers did push it to 7. Both teams, won on the road, but they protected their home court. Now, unfortunately, Game 7 didn't end how we wanted it to, just in terms of what happened at the beginning, because Tyrese Halliburton went down early, and unfortunately, he's going to be out for the entire season with the Achilles injury. So once that happened, you knew the Thunder were going to win that game. The Pacers did keep it competitive, but the Thunder did eventually pull away, and they win in 7 games. But I thought, for what it was an entertaining finals. I think we've seen some parity in the NBA over the last several years. Because back when we were in high school, it was Cavs Warriors every single year. But it's nice that we're seeing different teams each year for the most part. And for the Thunder, all year everybody was saying this is the best team. They should win the whole thing. And at times during the playoffs, they dealt with some adversity. That Denver series was tough for them. I thought the Timberwolves series at the Western Conference Finals, I thought that was going to be more of a competitive series, but they controlled that. They won it in 5 games. And here, I mean, the Pacers had a chance to, go up even more against them. But the Thunder did steal that game on the road. I think it was what it was. I think it was game 3. It was either game 3 or 4. Either way, um, but it was a good finals. It was a good finals. But they proved they were the best team. Shea Gilgis Alexander ends up winning Finals MVP. He wins that. He wins MVP in the regular season as well. So a great year for him. And he also got paid this offseason along with Chet Holmgren. So and this team. Everybody talks about dynasties. This team, they got a lot ahead of them. With the players that they have, and Jalen Williams also stepped up big in the finals as well when he needed to. Had that 40-point performance in the finals. So I mean it is in front of them to go out there and try to repeat, but it definitely is hard to repeat because I mean I thought the Celtics were going to repeat going into the playoffs, and that obviously didn't happen. But no, I mean we'll see what happens though. But this team is loaded, and they're just getting started with the core that they have. But what were your thoughts on the finals?
Way more than we expected. Um, just the fact that everyone kept saying Thunder in 4, Thunder in 5, that seemed to be the consensus pick. And I can't deny that it was also mine. I figured it'd be Thunder in 5. But the Pacers, as they proved all postseason long, they just stayed scrappy and stuck to their game plan. And that's something that they can really hang their hat on from this season. Rick Carlisle, we talked about it, during the entire Knicks series. He's a great coach. He deserves all the credit in the world for where he took this team. The amount of role players that this team had to was really underestimated, because behind Halliburton and Siakam, you had Miles Turner, who's now a Milwaukee Buck. You had Aaron Nesmith and Andrew Nembhard. You had other guys, T.J. McConnell, who was scrappy throughout the entire postseason with his defense. I mean, this team overexceeded expectations, and I mean, it is heartbreaking what happened to Tyrese Halliburton in Game 7. I mean, with that Achilles, I mean, the NBA has to definitely, I think, look into this, because that's now Tatum and Halliburton in the same postseason with very
And don't
similar
forget
injuries.
Damian Lillard too.
Yep, and you got to wonder, is it the shoes? Was it a damp spot on the court? We don't really know exactly what was behind it, but the NBA definitely, I think, has to look into that, like, and analyze those injuries going forward. But that just shows that Halliburton laid it out on the line for his team, because that's who he is. Like, he didn't want to miss a Game 7. I think we all know he didn't. And unfortunately, it has now jeopardized his entire next season, as you said. But you got to give credit to the Pacers for hanging in that series. And as for the Thunder, I mean, I know we talk about like who could be a potential next dynasty. I think the Thunder definitely have that potential, because if you look back, you mentioned it, Kenny. Cavs Warriors was our entire high school,
Yeah.
4 years in a row, and since then the NBA has had 7 different champions, counting the Thunder this year. But they are the overwhelming favorites once again next year. I think they're like 2-1 odds, which is the shortest by far on the odds list. It's going to be a different look in the NBA, because, like I said, now Miles Turner is with the Milwaukee Bucks. Kevin Durant is with the Houston Rockets. So there are going to be teams out there that are going to make, moves in the standings next season that we didn't expect. Mike Brown, of course, the new head coach of the Knicks, we'll probably get to that in just a bit. And no Jason Tatum in Boston. And Kristaps Porzingis is now gone to the Atlanta Hawks. Like, the Celtics look different. The entire structure of the East looks different. So the NBA is once again going to change. But as for the Oklahoma City Thunder, I mean, SGA just signed a 4-year, $285 million extension. And he's worth every bit of it. I will say that, because if you win regular season MVP, finals MVP, and you win the scoring title all in the same season, that's
And he joined some
amazing.
elite company doing that, right? There's only, I think, what was it? He's now the 6th player that's done that, something like that.
Yeah, it's a very short list, but I know that some people were definitely criticizing the Thunder for, being more of a boring team, a small market team. Nobody wants to watch them. It's like, I highly disagree. I've said before, like, and I kind of wish that it was this way in baseball. I think small market teams making runs really powers, a unique aspect of every sport. And in the NBA, like I said, Oklahoma City and Indiana are they small markets realistically? No, but in the scope of the NBA markets, yes, they absolutely are. I thought it was a fresh take on what was a pretty exciting NBA Finals. And like I said, Sam Presti, learned a lot about him in the post interviews after the finals with Scott Van Pelt and everybody else. Like, what a smart GM. Like, he is one of the smartest GMs that you'll see in basketball today. And, like, the fact that the Thunder finessed all those draft
Yep.
picks to build this team, that's just what makes them scary. And they're not done. They are not done, because they had another first round pick this year. Can't remember off the top of my head who they took. but they keep adding on, and this team is going to be dangerous for years to come. So, um, really, I mean, good work by the NBA on getting two unique teams into the finals, and it was a really fun series. I think most fans enjoyed it overall, and again, it's tough to see what happened to Tyrese Halliburton, but this Thunder team has the potential to be a dynasty maybe in the years to come. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, and also like you mentioned, what Sam Presti has done, especially acquiring the draft picks, but also they got SGA in the Paul George trade, and that's really worked out for them, um, as we discussed. So let's get into some of the other things. So I know we wanted to talk a little bit about Kevin Durant being traded, Mike Brown getting hired. I don't know what I mean. I guess we're obviously going to combine both, but first with the Durant trade, I feel like when you talk about Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, they're obviously nearing the end of their careers. LeBron, I mean, who knows? I mean, could this be it for him? I mean, he's alluded to it like the past couple of seasons, but he did pick up his player option, so he's going to be sticking around at least for one more year with Luka. But it's either they get traded to a different team, put in a situation where they don't necessarily have to carry the entire load, or you acquire another star to help them. Like the Lakers, brought in Luka, and they're gonna have to do more with the roster, obviously, and they did do that. They acquired DeAndre Ayton, because they really needed a center. With the Warriors, they got Jimmy Butler, and who knows what would have happened if Steph Curry doesn't go down and get hurt against the Timberwolves. How that series plays out. But now for Durant, obviously, it was looking like he was going to get traded. Where he was going to get traded, we didn't know. I mean, obviously the Rockets were there, and that's where he eventually went. You heard the Spurs, and I think Miami was also another team as well. But the Rockets, look, they were a 2 seed last year. They ended up losing to the Warriors, and Durant could be that missing piece. And they also did add some more size to their team as well. They brought back Clint Capella in the deal as well. I think it was a 7-team trade, which was kind of unique. So, I mean, look, I like this for the Rockets. I think Durant, he could still hoop, and that's something that he has talked about. He just wants to hoop, and I think he's going to continue to do that. And this is a team that is looking to take that next step. They got a good coach that's coached in an NBA Finals before. They got good players on that team. I think they're a threat in the Western Conference. Now, would we say they're better than the Thunder? Well, the Thunder just won the NBA championship, and it's kind of too soon to tell right now. But they are definitely a threat. So I really did like this trade for the Rockets. Durant still got something left in the tank. And, I'm curious to see how it pans out. And then for the Suns, they ended up getting Jalen Green in the trade. They got a bunch of second round picks. So, we'll see how it goes. They also got Dylan Brooks in the trade. But the Suns had to just get out of that. And I think they're also trying to move off of Bradley Beal too. But that was just a failed experiment with Beal, Durant, and Devin Booker. That was one of the biggest disappointments we've ever seen. So, what were your thoughts on the Durant trade?
Yeah, and what are the odds after we had KD, Kyrie, and Harden in Brooklyn, and then we had Beal, Booker, and KD in Phoenix, and
but you know what? If if Kevin Durant's foot was a little bit longer against the Bucks, something could have happened. But
I tell you, I still say that too. In that Game 7 against Milwaukee, if Durant's foot isn't on the line, things
and I don't even think
really
the Suns won a playoff game with those three because they got swept in the first round. I think it was to Minnesota.
Yeah.
So
you're right
not
about
only did they not win a series, they didn't win a game with those three together.
Nope. Minnesota just destroyed that in that series. That wasn't even a competitive fight, really. You said it best. I mean, Kevin Durant does have something left in the tank. I mean, he starts all these Twitter wars, and he's part of what I call the NBA drama queen club, because all these players just beg for money and want to chase rings. And I understand you want to win. That's the whole purpose of sports. But it's like, um, you know, Kevin Durant in Phoenix wasn't going to do anything really. I mean, with the current structure of the roster and everything, it just didn't work out. And it was time for him to get a change. So he's now a member of the Houston Rockets, who really have a nice young up and coming team. They lose Jalen Green in the trade, but they can afford that. They can afford that. That the Rockets, I think I said in the heat of the moment that I was like, oh my gosh, like I think the Suns won this trade. But now that I look at it, it's actually pretty even. Because in terms of the win now perspective, this is Houston's win because now KD joins a team that has guys like Alperen Şengün, and Jabari Smith, Dylan
Fred Van
Brooks,
Vliet.
Fred
Well,
Van
Dylan
Vliet.
Brooks
Like,
was in the trade, so he's going to
oh,
Phoenix.
that's right, Brooks was in the trade, and the other thing too, it was a 7-team trade, which is the most teams involved in NBA history, by the way. If you didn't know that. But yeah, Dylan Brooks is gone. That's right, he was part of that. But yeah, and Ime Udoka, of course, as you also said, was a coach of the Boston Celtics when they went to the NBA Finals in 2022. And obviously, he's had that experience before. This Rockets team certainly gets launched into that conversation, no pun intended. Now that they're in that group in the Western Conference, that you could say, okay, well, this team really could make a run at a championship with Kevin Durant. Are they going to win the finals? Do I think they're better than the Thunder right now? Probably not, but they're definitely a heck of a lot closer. The Western Conference has been interesting for years. It really has. I think I've said it before, Kenny, that the difference in competition between the East and the West in the NBA is like staggering. I mean, much of the last 7, 8 years, the West has consistently had the more balanced standings, the more competitive standings. Like, there's a lot of good teams in the West that can really, show out. And the Houston Rockets definitely are in a good spot now with Kevin Durant. Like you said, at 36, I mean, the guy's done a lot in his career. We know that. But I don't think he is done. I really don't think so. Like, I mean, Durant's been at it for now 15, 16 years, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. So it was a good deal for the Houston Rockets to make at this time, and now they are on that short list of finals contenders. So I'm looking forward to seeing, where that puts them as we go into next season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, these teams in the Western Conference, they got to make a run at the Thunder. And you also saw Denver improve this offseason. They added Valanciunas. They added Tim Hardaway Jr. They traded Michael Porter Jr. to get Cam Johnson over from the Nets. So they're making a ton of moves to try to get back to a championship and win it. And, they forced the Thunder to Game 7. So, we'll have to wait and see. But now let's get into the New York Knicks. So, obviously, right when they got eliminated pretty much, we also, we talked about the Knicks losing to the Pacers, but we also talked about them letting go of Tibbs. And it took a while. They tried to, poach a coach from some of these other teams, and that didn't work out. And, they were supposedly interested in WNBA coaches, too. I mean, it's just, it was like what's going on? And you had everybody talking about, was this a Dolan move? Was this a front office move? And then finally they settle for Mike Brown. So I don't think it's a bad hire, but I definitely am a little bit disappointed because I thought when they first let go of Tibbs that they were going to go after somebody that was going to be even better than Tibbs. Now Mike Brown has a solid resume. He's worked with great players. He was on the Warriors staff. He coached LeBron James. 2-time Coach of the Year. I think he's made the playoffs 7 of the 9 years that he has been a head coach in the NBA. So I mean, it's not like this is a complete downgrade, but I think where the Knicks finished off, you were expecting them to, you know, get somebody that was going to take the Knicks over the top. Now, that's not to say that Mike Brown can't do that, but there's a lot of pressure on him going into this season to take this team further than they did last year. And it's going to be tough to do that. But when you look at the landscape of the Eastern Conference and you see that Tatum is going to be out most of next year, if not all of it, Tyrese Halliburton is going to be out pretty much all of next year. You look at the Bucks. I mean, I don't know what to expect from them, but I mean, I think they'll be a playoff team. But they're going to have no Damian Lillard. They actually, let go of Damian Lillard. They waived him. You brought it up. They brought in Miles Turner. So Indiana loses another big piece from their championship run. Well, not really their championship run, but you know what I mean. The run to the NBA Finals. Um, you know, and some of the other teams as well. I mean, we don't know what to expect out of Philadelphia. I mean, Paul George again has another surgery. Joel Embiid is always hurt. I mean, the Hawks could definitely be a threat with the moves that they've made. They're trying to get back to how they were when they knocked the Knicks out back during the Julius Randle days. But
Yeah.
they've kind of been a play-in team for a while. Miami, I don't think we'll have to see what they're about this upcoming season. But I mean, it is doable. But if you don't make it to the NBA Finals next year, and the Knicks have also added to their roster, they've improved their bench drastically, and that was the biggest ask this offseason. They've done that. If you can't get to the NBA Finals, everybody's going to look at that as a failure. So I don't like to quote Aaron Boone, but I'm going to say it. It's right in front of them to go out and do it. But what are your thoughts on the Mike Brown hire?
Well, what's interesting, just tracing back to all the proceedings before that, is that I think we talked about it immediately after Tibbs got fired, that it almost felt like in some ways the 2017 Yankees with Joe Girardi, when he gets them to the ALCS, the Baby Bombers, and they fall literally just short in Houston of a trip to the World Series. And it was a bit of a shock to the system that Joe Girardi was gone. That's kind of how it felt with Tom Thibodeau. Like it was a little bit surprising. Like, maybe I guess it makes sense. We wanted to change. The Knicks wanted to change, but it's like we still love Tibbs for who he was, and it just felt like a bit of a surprise. When the Knicks did fire Tom Thibodeau, to me it was Mike Malone or Mike Brown. Those were your two options. Is Mike Brown the A option? I don't think so, but he's definitely a really solid option. He has experience. He was under Steve Kerr for all those years in Golden State. He took the Sacramento Kings to the postseason just a couple years ago. Like, he's been in the league for quite a while. He's been around, Mike Brown, and I think he's got a high basketball IQ. I do trust that part of him. And I believe that he can certainly help guide this roster and this team to their first NBA Finals in years. We'll see. But you're right. Like, it's almost becoming like that type of pressure on the Knicks, because with an injured Pacers team, with a revamped Celtics team, with the mixed bags of the Miami Heat and the Philadelphia 76ers, with the Bucks, I mean, who knows? Like, is Giannis really still staying? Is he not? We still don't really have that answer yet. There are a bunch of question marks in the Eastern Conference this year, and the Knicks seem to be the team right now that is getting better and has new hope with a new head coach. And I think you're going to see it too, is that Tom Thibodeau was so defensive minded. And I think that kind of held the Knicks back, which it does make sense why they wanted this change and why they wanted it now at this point. So I'm really curious to see where this team changes in that aspect. But I'm fine with Mike Brown. I'm fine with it. I think he definitely has the good resume of an NBA head coach, and he has it in him. Plus, this team has a great roster to work with right now, um, and hopefully, the Tom Thibodeau effect still carries over. That the culture stays there, and that there's no issues with the team, because I feel like that derails teams in the NBA. Like, if you don't have a coach who is built to maintain a culture, then you're not going to be that team at the end of the season. And I think Mike Brown certainly still has that element within him, but Tom Thibodeau was one of one when it came to building team culture. So that's the part that I think this team might really miss. Uh, but overall, you got to feel optimistic for what's coming up with this season overall. So I'm really excited to see where the Knicks go. They're co-favorites right now with the Cavaliers to win the Eastern Conference, basically. So that's what it's feeling like. We might be penciling in next May. It could be Knicks Cavs for a trip to the NBA Finals, but we'll see. It'll all come within time.
Yeah, yeah, no, and like you said, I mean, they have a good roster. I'm happy that they didn't do anything drastic with the roster where they like made a blockbuster trade and they trade like three players to get like a Giannis or I know there were some rumblings like, hey, they got Mike Brown, maybe they'll go and they trade for LeBron James, but that wasn't going to happen. Keep this core together, run it back, and see what you can do. Because look, they kind of let that series against the Pacers get away from them after game one. I mean, that's a game you should not lose, and they found a way to lose it. But it's in part because Aaron Nesmith just could not miss a shot. So I mean, we'll see, but it is going to be interesting. So let's kind of transition now from the NBA over to the NFL. So mainly we're going to talk about the Steelers because a trade went down. Well, also, actually, I did want to bring up another thing that happened yesterday. So Garrett Wilson signed a contract extension. I mean, that's, Jet fans should be very happy about that. They need to add to that receiving core because it really is just Garrett Wilson and everybody else. I mean, I know they still have Alan Lazard and Malachi Corley. Did not have a great rookie season, so they need somebody. They need somebody else behind Garrett Wilson. But that was good to get him locked up long term. Now they just got to figure out the quarterback situation. I mean, he's reunited with Justin Fields this year, so we'll see how Fields steps into that role. But with the Steelers now, they made an interesting trade. They acquired Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith, and they traded Minka Fitzpatrick in a 2027 fifth round draft pick. So that was an interesting trade. I would have felt better about this trade for the Steelers if they had Minka Fitzpatrick. Like, if you had Minka Fitzpatrick, you have Darius Slay, you have Joey Porter Jr., and you have Jalen Ramsey. I would feel very good about that. Now, the Steelers, they still have Juan Thornhill. They have Deshaun Elliott. So it's not like they have nothing back there at the safety spots. But, Minka Fitzpatrick, when he first got to the Steelers, I mean, he was a one-man wrecking crew. I mean, he was a highlight reel when he first got there with the pick sixes. I mean, he was a playmaker. And then I feel like that kind of like went away these last couple of seasons. He is getting older, but hey, Jalen Ramsey is old. Darius Slay is, Jalen Ramsey's 30. Darius Slay, is close to the end of his career. So, I think part of it was also to kind of like move some money around because they also still have to pay TJ Watt, which I anticipate that they will get that done. I know he's been part of trade rumors, but TJ Watt's not going anywhere. TJ Watt is going to be a Steeler until proven otherwise. I mean, look at what happened with Myles Garrett. It looked like he wanted nothing to do with the Browns, and then the Browns offered him a ton of money, and he's going to be staying. So the Steelers are going to figure it out. They're not gonna part ways with T.J. Watt. But it is an interesting trade. I mean, the Steelers overall, I think they are going to be a decent team. They're going to hover around that 9-10 win mark, like they've had the past couple of seasons. It is going to come down to the health of Aaron Rodgers, I think, and how well he's going to play. obviously, and I think we're going to see at least a better version of Aaron Rodgers than what we saw in Pittsburgh. I'm not saying that we're going to see MVP Aaron Rodgers, but I think the Steelers, they got a better culture over there, and they're going to have a coach that's actually going to coach. You're not going to have Robert Saleh and then go to Jeff Ulbricht, halfway through, who was in over his head. So and the Steelers defense is usually good, and they made improvements to the defensive line this offseason through the draft. So, I mean, the defense for the Steelers is going to be good. The Jets defense took a major step back last year, and they blew a lot of games at the very end. And that's part of the reason why they finished with the record they did. I don't think it's only on Aaron Rodgers and his level of play. It was a team effort, and the Jets not doing well last year. So, I mean, we'll see what this trade does for the Steelers. But you need, all the help you can get in the secondary, because you have to deal with, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and then, obviously you got to deal with, the tight ends for Baltimore and Zay Flowers, and now, DeAndre Hopkins, who's up there in age as well. He got signed by the Ravens this offseason. You have to deal with Jerry Jeudy over in Cleveland, but who's going to be throwing to Jerry Jeudy? Because that is one heck of a quarterback room. So it is an interesting trade. Minka goes back home to the Dolphins. The Dolphins, I don't really know what to expect from them. This is a big year for them, and Mike McDaniel, he's on the hot seat. He's got to deliver. I mean, they got to make the playoffs and win a playoff game, because they have failed to do that every year that he's been a head coach, and they didn't even make the playoffs last year. I think if Tua stays healthy, they probably do, but who knows if they even win a playoff game, because they haven't done that. So, yeah, an interesting trade. What were your thoughts on this deal?
It caught me off guard for sure. Seeing such an all-pro safety in Minka Fitzpatrick going back to Miami, and I mean, as you said, his playmaking definitely went away. It did. These last 2, maybe 3 seasons, it wasn't as prominent as it once was. But I feel the same way about Jalen Ramsey. Like, where has Jalen Ramsey really been the last 2 to 3 years? He's gotten old quick. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, I think getting Jonnu Smith back in this deal obviously boosted it for the Steelers. I wasn't a huge fan of it, though, at first. Just because I felt that Minka was definitely still the better player, and that the Dolphins got the better player in this deal. But when you add Jonnu Smith with Jalen Ramsey, it definitely evened it out a little more for Pittsburgh. This new and improved Steelers team is going to be something to watch this year, obviously, between Rodgers, Metcalf, Jonnu Smith, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, as you said. But in some ways, it's like, I feel like some of these guys that the Steelers have, especially when it comes to Rodgers and Slay, they're on the back end of their careers. No, Rodgers is at the end of his career. He's already said that this is going to be it. Like, I mean, he's not going to continue.
Yeah, this would have been a very good team 5 years ago. This would have been a Super Bowl contender 5 years ago.
Like, and I feel like there are some media professionals out there that are like, oh, watch out for the Steelers. I mean, I don't know. I think they're going to be.
I think they're going to be good.
They're going to be good, but are they going to be great, elite, like some of the
other
teams?
And especially in the AFC too.
Yeah, as you said, between the Bengals, who have hopes this year, the Ravens, who are at the top of the list to win a Super Bowl, they got to get it done one of these years. Personally, they'd be my pick right now, but that's just July 15th.
Yeah, save that for when we do a show in in September or in August.
We're gonna go back to this. Yeah. July 15th, Ravens win the Super Bowl. Anyway, but yeah, the Chiefs are always there. The Ravens are always there. The Bills are always there. The Bengals will be back. Like that's what makes the AFC so insane. They have the best quarterbacks. They're the best conference. They really are. Because when you have Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and all these other guys going at it every single year against each other, it's bound to change one of these years. Now the Chiefs, the Chiefs just go to the Super Bowl every year, basically.
But they didn't win it. Don't forget, they did not win it last year.
So that means this year they will take a step back and lose in the AFC Championship. That's how it works. I don't know.
I might make a prediction and say they don't make it to the AFC Championship game at all.
Wow. Wow, interesting. I mean, I think this team will take a step back this year. I
They
do,
have to
but
at some point.
it can't keep going. I mean, we've said it the last 5 years. Well, maybe this
I
isn't
mean, ever since our freshman year at college, I mean, it's just been the Chiefs every single year in the championship game. There's not been one year since I've known you that they've not been in the championship game.
it is pretty incredible when you think about it. But yeah, like just on the note of the Steelers, though, again, it's just that like we're saying here, it's like this is a good team. Are they going to be a great team? I can't see it. And honestly, Kenny, maybe this is just my perspective, but you talk about Mike McDaniel on the hot seat. How much longer is Mike Tomlin's leash going
Yeah,
to last in Pittsburgh? Well, I mean, we're starting to get to that point where it's like the Steelers can't go 9-8 or 10-7 every year and be
but
a
it's been
first
like that
round
for a
playoff.
while.
It has been like that.
They haven't won a playoff game since the 2016-2017 season. That's how long it's been.
Wow. Yeah, and who could forget too? Wasn't it 2019 when they lost to Bortles and the Jags
20
45-42?
it was
2018?
2017-2018 season.
It was 17, 18.
2017 going
Yeah,
into
like
2018.
that playoff game
And they
still comes to
put
mind.
up 42 points. I think Ben Roethlisberger had like 500 yards passing, but they were down like 28 to nothing.
Exactly. That game still pops in my head all the time. Like
Yeah,
a big
they were
one
not
minute.
prepared for that game at all.
No.
They just let that Jaguars offense go up and down the field, and Ben turned it over once for a touchdown. Yeah, it was not a good game. Not a memorable game for Steelers fans.
Definitely not. But I don't know. That's just the way that I see it. It's like Mike Tomlin's leash is definitely starting to wear thin. I mean, look, he's a great coach. Like if you've looked at the teams that he's pulled into the playoffs, Exhibit A last year, like
And even
it's amazing how this guy still finds a way
well, even
with
the
the
year
teams that
before that, they had a combination of Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, and then they put Mason Rudolph in the final 3 games of the season,
Yep.
and that propelled them to the playoffs. And then they lost to Buffalo, obviously.
Yeah, and that wasn't a great game either. And then you knew when they went down to Baltimore last year too that yeah,
Yeah, they weren't
this,
winning. They weren't winning that
yeah,
game. Derrick
no
Henry
way.
ran all over them. They had they had no chance in that game. They had no chance.
Yeah, and so now the time moves on and it's the Aaron Rodgers era at least for 1 year.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm just curious to see what Aaron Rodgers has left in the tank. I mean, because obviously his mobility is all but really gone at this point. Like I feel like he's going to have to just be that pocket passer, and obviously he's got the weapon. He's got DK Metcalf to work with. He's got Jonnu Smith now. He's going to have playmakers around him, which is
I think
obviously
they
what
need at
you
least
want.
one more wide receiver.
They
And
do.
there's a few
They,
veteran wide receivers out there. There's Amari Cooper. There's Keenan Allen. I would like to see them add at least one more guy. Now we could see a Allen Lazard trade at some point. You never know, but I would like to see them add at least one more weapon. I know they have some young guys like Calvin Austin showed you something last year. Roman Wilson, who they drafted out of Michigan, he didn't play at all last year. Really, he was hurt pretty much the whole year. They added Robert Woods, but Robert Woods is not the same Robert Woods from when he was with the Rams. They need somebody else. And you mentioned Jonnu Smith. Let's not forget they do have Pat Fryermuth as well. Rodgers is going to utilize the tight ends a lot. And they're going to have to use him in the running game too. Let's see how this running game is. With Caleb Johnson now in the fold, you got Jalen Warren. You still have him. They added Kenneth Gainwell. The biggest thing for me is they got to protect him. If they can give Rodgers time and he doesn't get knocked around like he
right.
did early on in the season, and then he was playing hurt for a large portion of the year last year, and then towards the end of the year is when he started to, show that he was healthy again. They got to make sure that they keep him upright. And this is a relatively young offensive line for the Steelers. So, that's one of the biggest things too, is they got to protect Aaron Rodgers. And I think another year removed from the Achilles, and he can still throw it. Now, like you said, the mobility is not there like it used to. Like we're not going to see Aaron Rodgers, roll out and throw that pass like he did to Jared Cook. Like you're not in the playoffs. We're not going to see that. But this guy can still throw the football. So, the biggest thing for me, like I said, protect him. Protect him. Give him time. and I think he'll do okay. So, and if you look at his overall numbers last year, like obviously if you're watching the Jet games closely, like yeah, maybe those numbers are a little skewed, but I mean, 28 touchdowns to 11 interceptions is not bad. And he even said it on Pat McAfee once. Average years for him or down years for him are, career years for other players. So, that's not the exact quote, but you know what I'm saying. So,
Yeah, no, it's very true. So yeah, this is the last ride, and we're at a point now too, Kenny, where this is the end of our childhood. Basically, Aaron Rodgers is the last one, really.
yeah, I mean, you got Stafford, Flacco, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it was quite the ride with the quarterbacks that we grew up watching. I mean, I'm going to be
Yes.
biased to say that's the best era of quarterbacks you're ever going to see because because you got Brady,
I agree.
Breeze, Rodgers, Peyton, Big Ben, Eli. You throw them all in there. It was a lot of fun, watching those guys. And I mean, listen, the quarterbacks that we have now are super talented, but nothing's going to beat the 2010s. So.
Don't think so. Yeah.
All right, so for the last, 15 or so minutes that we have, we're going to talk baseball now. So the first half has concluded. Home run derby was last night. I don't know. I think you probably feel the same. The home run derby does not have the same juice that it once did. Also, like, I think, the guys did do the best. Well, some of them did. Others were not so great. But it was fine. I know there was a lot of people complaining about the split screen that they had going on throughout the broadcast. Obviously, and you look at the guys that were doing it, there were not a lot of household names, but I mean, some of these guys did do a great job. I mean, Junior Caminero from the Rays, was a late addition, and I thought he did well. The runner up to Cal Riley, of course, who ended up winning the whole thing. You had James Wood in there last night, who we had winning the whole thing, and of course he got knocked down in the first round. If he could have hit it,
Shocking.
yeah, I knew, and no offense to you, once I saw that you picked him to win, I said, "Yep, he's not winning." He was I no, but you know what? I will say, I feel like when you go first, you're put at a disadvantage because now you
I
kind of
agree.
set the bar for the other contestants. Like, oh, I just have to get this number, like so I mean, and it's not like I think also the poor start for him did him in, because he got off to a slow start there last night, and then he picked it up towards the end. So, and some of these other guys like Brent Rooker got off to a hot start, and then he ended up winning by only one. Also, I was so confused last night. Him and Cal Riley, they both finished with 17, and I was like, oh, here comes the swing off. And then I guess one of Cal Riley's homers was just a little bit longer than Brent Rooker's, so they ended up just not doing a swing off, and Brent Rooker got eliminated. I didn't like that. There should have been a swing
Yeah,
off.
it was very bizarre. I think the swing off definitely would have been more interesting because they measured by distance in the first round,
Mm-hmm.
apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Cal Raleigh's went 470.61. Brent Rooker went 470.53.
That's
I
ridiculous.
mean,
You can't
we're
do that.
talking like in a literal inch. You know, how much do you want to bet? They're like, let's just get Cal Raleigh. Let's just get him through. You
Maybe.
wonder.
And,
You
and
wonder.
yeah, I mean, he was the favorite going into last night, so I guess we overthought it. Everybody, we should have just went with the favorite, the home run leader. Um,
And he is having an incredible
he
season. If
is.
Aaron Judge wasn't Aaron Judge, Cal Raleigh would be MVP.
Hmm. But there's some
I,
people that say he's the MVP.
but I just can't. The season Aaron Judge is having
No.
is unbelievable. Still, it's like, but it's awful because him and Raleigh might both have 60+ homers this season,
Hmm.
and one of them's walking away with the MVP only. I mean,
Do you think though that we
it's
could
it's
potentially see like an Embiid Jokic situation with this MVP race where they're like, I don't think we should give it to Judge this year. He won it last year. Let's give it to the catcher.
it's that's an interesting comparison, like because that's kind of exactly what this is shaping into right now. It's these two guys, like, and it's like it just feels like, wow, it's like Cal Raleigh's having such an amazing season. It's like like how do we not consider it's one of those dynamics. But no, I mean Judge is batting 350, Cal Raleigh's batting 280. I mean that already is one disadvantage. And Judge, if the Yankees didn't have Aaron Judge this season, where would this team be? Max Fried, too, for that matter. Those two guys have been really all by themselves accounting for Yankee wins this season.
Mm-hmm.
It's really incredible. And Jazz Chisholm obviously has stepped up this season. He's hit some big-time homers in the
They
first
got to
half.
send him.
Stanton's finally healthy again, but now you got Clark Schmidt on the IL, and now Fried's got the blister. It's just this team can't avoid anything in a season, Kenny. It's a roller coaster ride, and there are like big ups and downs.
But you know what? Here's the thing.
Peaks and valleys. We're not talking.
I know. Well,
like
here's the thing. Here's the thing. There's a lot of people that get off the ride, but you know what? We stay on it. We stay on it.
That's right.
We're sick by the end of the ride, but we stay on it. So, but
yeah.
But I don't want to just talk about. Oh wait, actually, go ahead. Say what you were going to say.
Well, and I was going to mention too. Just shout out Cody Bellinger for going nuclear on the Cubs.
Yeah, another. Well, yeah, for the one game, and then the next two nights, Matthew Boyd and Shota Imanaga shut him down.
Not so good, but I mean, you should have known. Like that game was insane, just for the fact that PCA nearly robs Bellinger on that.
I know again,
homer.
yeah, and Kyle Tucker robbed him. He could have had 4 Bellinger. He could have been the 20th
right.
player.
Tucker robbed him too.
Yeah,
and then Judge robbed PCA.
Yep. I know Judge was making a lot of great plays, and then the play off of Kyle Tucker in the 8th inning to get Rodon out of that jam. I mean, Judge could do it all. He's a special player, and
he's incredible.
It's awesome that we have him on our team.
And when it comes to his home runs, because Judge did get his 350th career on Saturday. Like, imagine Aaron Judge wasn't a late bloomer. Where he could really end up. Like,
look at the COVID season and also when he got hurt.
And that too. Those
are more home runs that you add to the total as well. He'd be close to 400 right now if he didn't run into the wall and if the COVID season was a normal season.
Right, and the toe at Dodger Stadium, that's right, all that happened. And, I mean, by the end of his career, I think we're definitely staring at a 500-plus home run player. I think Judge is certainly capable of hitting 50-plus the next 3 seasons. I still believe that. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, it is unbelievable the value that he adds to the Yankees. It's him and Ohtani right now every year for the MVP race. That's really the spot that we're in.
I mean, I know he's been limited with the pitching, but he's been back and he's been doing okay pitching-wise. Yeah. So, it's nice to see him back on the mound. Now, we don't know how long he's going to pitch for. I mean, I think, towards the end of his career, he's just going to be back to being a DH. But
and we have a good tight NL race as well at the break, too, with, Skeens and Wheeler. Mm-hmm. And Crochet and Skubal, although Skubal has definitely jumped out to a more sizable lead the last week or so.
How about the Red Sox, though?
It's Yankees and Red Sox would both be in the wild card right now.
Mm-hmm. Right now there's 4 AL East teams. If the playoffs were to start, it would
That's right.
The Rays have really been actually no. The Rays are 1.5 games back. Mariners have the 3rd wild card spot, but the Rays have been reeling. They've lost 4 in a row. They're 2-8 in their last 10 games. But yeah, that wild card race is going to be tight. And now you factor in the Red Sox in the division race, which a couple weeks ago after they traded Devers, you didn't think was going to be the case. But I mean, they have really made up ground here, and they are now officially a threat in the AL East. And that's what a lot of people expected going into the year, that they were going to be a threat.
The home run that Ceddanne Rafael had on that walk-off last week. I mean, oh my God. That was out of the park. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Moonshot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just sometimes you have these, ups and downs in a baseball season. And, right now the Red Sox are scorching hot. Like they're not even just a good team right now. They're scorching.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously there's still plenty of time for them to, come back down to earth. Of course, we know that. I mean, there's like the team to me at this point of the season that I'm really surprised that we're not seeing more of. I'm surprised that both the Royals and the Guardians have taken a step back from last year. I kind of am, because right now it's like the Tigers are dominating the Central. They really are. They're like, this is like, you talk about a team that is like young and feisty. There's always one every year. It feels like in
Well, I think they're
baseball.
more than just young and feisty. I mean,
Oh yeah.
they got the best record in the majors right now.
Oh yeah. No, I know. And AJ Hinch is obviously a
Yeah.
fantastic manager.
Well,
And he's
that's a big that's one of the biggest reasons why they're in the position that they're in. I mean, I know people can
yeah,
say, "Well, he was part of the the Astros cheating scandal,"
right.
But he's a very good manager.
Exactly. And remember all the talk. I've heard people saying, going into the season that, yeah, it feels like the Astros window's closing. I kind of felt the
Nope,
same way.
that
Well,
window opened up again.
they're not closing. It's open still.
Yeah.
It's here
I
they
know.
are. They're second.
Yeah. Let's see how it goes when the Yankees play them this year. Because last year the Yankees beat up on them. They won. What was it? They won 6 out of 7 against them. They swept them the first series of the year, and then they won 2 out of 3 in the Bronx. I think they lost the final game, but I mean, I don't know how it's going to be this time around because they got good pitching, and sometimes the Yankee offense goes dormant against good pitching. So
Yeah, it's just like with Imanaga on Sunday. They went really quiet into the night that game. Cubs are a great team, though. I mean,
hmm
not like the Yankees lost to a bum team. The Cubs are a real contender this year.
hmm
Craig Counsell is another great manager in Major League Baseball that I don't think gets enough credit. Like, this team is definitely hitting all their strides. PCA with a ridiculously good first half. Kyle Tucker,
yep.
Seiya Suzuki, like
Michael Bush.
yeah, Michael Bush too. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good pieces on that Cubs team right now too. And with the Dodgers cooling off, the Cubs find themselves just a half back of the NL lead for best record.
I know, and
So
you know what's funny? Even with the Dodgers sliding like they have, I mean, they still hold a 5.5 game lead in the division.
oh yeah,
'Cause the Padres got
it's
off to a good start, but they've cooled off. The Giants, are still 6 games back. Diamondbacks look like they're going to sell. They're 11 games back. They got no chance of winning the division. But
yeah. The Yankees have been linked to Suarez and Gallen. I've heard that from Jeff Passan as well.
now, would you give up a top flight prospect for Suarez and Gallen?
I mean, that's the thing. By the way, shout out to Cam Schlittler. Great debut. Earlier in the week for the Yankees, that was awesome to see. I feel like Spencer Jones is untouchable, though. I don't think the Yankees really should, give up Spencer Jones. That's the one prospect to me that feels like he would be untouchable.
What about George Lombard?
Yeah, and George Lombard, who actually played in the Futures game, I think, for the MLB down in Atlanta on Friday. I think it was Friday or Saturday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. These are two great prospects that the Yankees are really high on right now, and they're high up in their farm system. I think if you work with Lombard, I think the Yankees could afford giving up George Lombard. I just don't know about Spencer Jones.
Yeah.
I think Spencer Jones can be a great player on this team.
It's just he has nowhere to play right now.
And that's the issue. That is the issue. The Yankees have all these different positions that there's too many guys, and it's like it's like we got to find a way to remember that the word balance, Kenny. We've said that a few times.
That's one of my favorite words.
That's yours. Yeah.
There's definitely more balance on this team than there has been in years past. They definitely have corrected that.
Yeah, and finally the wins are here. So we don't really have to ask right now where are the wins coming from. So
yeah, maybe with the Giants.
Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion for a whole different time this fall, because I tell you, we're going to be put right back on the fiery fist of pain with that team.
Yeah, or the Demonator. Yeah. But we'll definitely do a show for that as well when the season gets closer. I know I did kind of a schedule preview look a while back, but we'll definitely have to do that. But any final remarks before we wrap up here?
Yeah, I mean, looking forward to the All-Star game in Major League Baseball tonight.
Do you have a prediction? Who wins?
Let's go AL. Come on, let's go AL.
I will say, though, looking at the lineups, though, the NL lineup, I think, wipes the floor with the AL lineup.
Oh, it is. It's really good. And all is right in the world because teams are finally wearing the team jerseys again. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those ice cream going.
I was just gonna say, who needs
last
those
year.
like pink and white jerseys? And it's like, yeah, American
I
League with
actually
the
did like the ones that they were wearing last night. Those are fine. They're
yeah,
okay.
I didn't mind that. Like that's for the Derby. Like
No,
okay,
no, I
but
know.
in
Yeah,
the
they were
All-Star
fine. They were
game,
a lot better than
yeah,
last year's. That's for
yeah,
sure.
amen to that. Yeah, but yeah, All-Star games here, and we're at the midsummer break. Yankees and the Mets are both within striking distance still in their divisions.
Got to make
It's
moves at
going
the
to be
deadline.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be really interesting, and yeah, buckle up because the deadline is going to get really
I
hectic in
know,
a
and
few weeks.
I'm gonna be on vacation while the deadline is going on. So
So you'll hear every 5 minutes.
actually, no, I have notifications turned off. Maybe I got to turn them on then for that.
Uh, there you go.
But that is pretty much it. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to, if you want to listen to us, wherever you get your podcasts, you can also do that as well. Looking up Infinite Sports, and also follow all the social media accounts as well in the description. And as always, everybody, I'm Kenneth Grunfelder, along with Ben Upson. Have a good one, and we will talk to you guys again next time. Take care.
Later.